Hello and welcome to another episode of Mind Your Business, the podcast where each week I speak to a different business owner to find out the story behind their business journey and how they built their brand. So today I'm joined with Jennifer from Black and White Marketing.
Hello.
So welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me. Why don't we start out, tell me a bit more about Black and White.
Okay, so Black and White Marketing is a copywriting business, technically. So I've dealt mostly with like content strategy and also writing content for people's websites, blog articles, that type of thing. So yeah, I've been running it for a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
You always lose track.
Yeah, I know, it goes so
Where
quickly. So how did you get started with that? What were you doing before?
So I started off working in agencies, like doing marketing, basically what I do now, but I never do it for myself.
Yeah.
So I'd done that for about 3 years, and then I thought I'd quite like to do this for myself.
Yeah.
Because I went to uni and I did marketing and entrepreneurship, so it was all about like how to start businesses and things. So that like geared me right into
kind of
I want to have my own business.
Planted the seed for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how long did it kind of take for you having that wee idea that you wanted to do it yourself to kind of jumping in and launching?
Well, it's kind of how to answer that. So when I was about 14, I was like, I want to have a business. So it's been going on since then. It took till I was like 4. What age am I? 26. I was 24.
Losing track.
So it was just that kind of like waiting for the business idea thing. I'm like, I'm going to have my own business one day at some point when I figured out what it is I want to do. Yeah. So then
just waiting for that right time sort of thing.
So then I kind of went down that route to do like working in agencies and things. And then after a while I was like, now I want to do it for myself. And then I was like, there's the business idea. Now I can do it kind of thing. So that was...
So was there like a kind of moment, did you like working with agencies, or was there a moment where you thought, you don't have to say too much?
Yeah, it was...
was it
I liked both agencies for different reasons. And there was different things. So actually they've kind of like steered how my business has gone. Yeah. So I'll talk a bit more about that when we talk about branding. Yeah. But the first company that I worked in was a branding agency. So ever since then I've loved all branding things. Yeah. And it's totally like shaped how I look at business. And I like things to be really visual and things like that. Yeah. So that's kind of came from there. And they were really fun from that point of view. But it was just, I think when you work for someone else, for me anyway, what I found was it was too constrained. Yeah. So I like to be quite creative, and like I find it really hard to just sit in a room and just be creative in inverted commas. It's like, I don't know, you need to get out, I need to go for a walk, and you're not really allowed to do that. Yeah, you don't really have that freedom. Exactly, because I used to, like, I would sit there and I'd be like, I have no ideas, I can't get anything, and then you'd be like, can I go for a walk? And like, well, you're not working if you go for a walk. And I'm like, yeah, but I am. I just need to go out. So
yeah, it's hard to be creative when you're just sitting in a room just with nothing to inspire you, kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly.
So, and I imagine agencies are quite a hectic kind of environment.
Yeah, they're really busy.
Yeah.
And then there's always different projects coming and going and things, which is great because you get loads of experience quite quickly. And you deal with loads of different types of industries, and you get an idea of what type of clients you'd like to work with. Yeah. And then you also kind of already know, okay, so this is issues you're going to come up with against other people and different ways of dealing with it. Yeah, I
suppose it kind of prepares you. If you can deal with that, exactly. If you can deal with the agency life, I'd imagine you can kind of deal with quite a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where did the name Black and White Marketing come from?
Okay, so I had decided that I wanted to do this and do my own copywriting business. So I was driving home one day and I was thinking, what am I going to call this? Like, I can't think of any names. I was like, I'm marketing this, and I was like, my name, no, I don't want my name in it. And I was just driving and I was like, well, what do I like? I was like, well, I've always liked penguins. So I was like, I'd like to incorporate a penguin into the logo somewhere because that'd be nice. So I was just driving and I thought, penguins. Black and white's interesting. And it just kind of went like that. And then I started thinking, well, copywriting, you've got black text on white paper. Yeah. So black and white. And then you've got like nice clean branding. Penguins fit into there. Yeah, I'll just go with that. So that was...
Yeah, that does actually work perfectly. When you actually break it down, that is like the perfect name, really.
Exactly, that's what I thought. So yeah, but there was a lot of black and white marketings out there across the world, so it was just kind of how to put my own stamp on that. Yeah. That's kind of where the penguin branding came from.
So was there any other names sort of in the running, or was that just kind of epiphany moment where you had that?
Epiphany moment, yeah.
I think that's sometimes the best way, when you're just, it just clicks and you're like, this is the right one.
Exactly, like that is it. I'm gonna go with that.
No, and I suppose it is good because it's kind of, you are black and white, it's simple, it's like, it's to the point.
It's so easy. And we talk about like putting things down in black and white, you want like to achieve your goals, all that sort of stuff, so it fitted with what I was trying to do.
I think it's great when you kind of get that
And you're like,
that aha moment sort of thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, you've kind of mentioned your branding with the penguin.
Yeah.
I'll pop up some pictures on Instagram when this goes live so everyone kind of knows what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But where did you get the inspiration for that? Like the way you've kind of incorporated it into the branding?
So when I said the word black and white in my head, I was like, oh, that's it. I could just picture it. I could picture the words black and white and the penguin hidden in the end.
Yeah.
So I'm not a designer, so I tried really, really hard. And I was getting so frustrated, and I was like, right, why can't I get this penguin to look like a penguin? Like, the font just looks weird. And I spent, honestly, like weeks on it, like, why can't I do this? So then I was like, well, I used to work in a design agency. Maybe one of them will help me.
Yeah.
So I contacted an old colleague and said, would you be able to fix this for me? Because I don't really know what I'm doing. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. And then she sent it back, and I was like, yes. I was like, you are wonderful. This is why
exactly
you get designers to do things for you and don't do it yourself.
Yeah, totally. It's such a cool concept.
Yeah.
And it works so well, like, I suppose, over all your marketing materials, like having that, like,
it's
really
so clear.
Yeah.
It's iconic,
Yeah, it's like, you see that and you think, black and white marketing.
Exactly, you know exactly.
Yeah, that's like, no, I think it's really important, I think, to have something that's really obviously your brand.
Yeah, because that's the thing, is actually I've come across a lot of people like at networking events and things, and I said, oh, I'm Jennifer, black and white marketing. And they're like, black and white? Is that the one with the penguin? And I'm like, yeah, that's the one. And they're like, so you're the penguin lady? I'm like, yeah, that's me. So now that I'm become known as the penguin lady.
The penguin lady. So people are actually kind of recognising you from the penguin.
Yeah, so it's actually been, that's kind of an accident, but worked out really well. It's now, like, it's really, I don't know, recognisable. So people are like, oh yeah, I remember you. And then if they don't remember me or maybe my company, they remember the penguin.
Yeah.
And then black and white comes, because like, oh, penguin's black and white. Oh, that's what it was.
That is, yeah. That is a perfect
happy coincidence.
Yeah, it's great when things work out like that. Yeah, so how long have you been running again, sorry?
It's about a year and a half.
Something
like that.
So was there any sort of mistakes in that first year that you think have kind of shaped your business where it is today?
I don't know, like, it's definitely lessons that I've learned of things like, I won't do that again.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything specifically which was like a mistake which has shaped it, but probably like the biggest thing that I've learned is to be more assertive. Would probably be one thing.
Yeah.
I've had a few issues with like trying to get payments from clients
and
things like that, and what I've learned from that is make sure you've got everything in writing, so you can back up what you've said and what they've agreed to. And then I've had to add like late fees and things like that, just to try and encourage people to pay on time and not, decide 6 months later, oh, maybe pay you now, it's fine. You're like, I need to eat too.
Yeah, actually really relying on this money.
Exactly. It's like I have no other income.
I think at the start it is, you do kind of feel bad. That's sort of I don't want to be pushy and like, can I have my money please?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think
you've never had to do that before.
You get paid every month for your work. Like, you don't have that like fighting for your money.
Exactly.
But I think kind of protecting yourself with like contracts, and it's so important.
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to do more of, is when I get a new client, just create a contract right at the start and be like, right, this is my terms, this is how I work. If you sign it and agree, then we can proceed. Rather than just being like, let's just go ahead. Oh, whenever you feel like paying me, that's fine. Like, just try and get away from that, because it's
I've kind of done that. Even when I've had contracts, they've not signed it, and I've still just went ahead, and then you never get the signed contract, and then it all kind of goes to pot down the line, and then you're fighting for your money. But I think those kind of mistakes are all, they're part of it. I think you need to kind of make those.
I think you do, because then once you've done things like that, you think, okay, well, I won't do that. And then you kind of keep learning. Like, I've had probably something every month where I'm like, right, I'm not doing that again. So like a year and a half later, you're like, okay, I actually feel like my business is so much better than it was when I first started. And it can only get better. No,
I always kind of get that. Like, you think you're doing really good, and then you look back and you're like, what was I doing? Like, when I look back to the start, I'm like, it wasn't a business. Like, what was I actually doing? So just imagine, like, another year's what we're going to think about how we are now, sort of thing.
Just keep growing.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. You just got to always keep moving forward, looking for the next thing.
Yeah, I think so.
So do you find social media quite handy for that, kind of getting out there? And
so I had a thing, because when I was at my old jobs, I used to be a social media manager too, and it just killed social media for me because I was like, I hate this now.
Yeah.
So like I'd ended up deleting my private Facebook account and everything. I was like, I'm never using social media again. I hate it. And then I was like, when I've got a business, I should probably have some social media. It's probably useful as a marketer who advises people to have social medias. So I was like, right, well, this out of sheer principle, I'm not using Facebook because I don't like it.
Yeah. So you're only on Instagram.
I'm only on Instagram. Yeah. And I've created a Pinterest and I've created a YouTube because I've got plans.
Yeah.
But I haven't accomplished those plans yet. But I have like where I want to go with that.
So they're kind of ready for you.
Yeah. So I mainly use Instagram. And I use LinkedIn a little bit as well, but I want to try and kind of tap into that a bit more.
I suppose your stuff would probably work really well on LinkedIn.
It does, yeah, because people like, I don't know, they like little tips and things like that, and it's just about kind of how to get that in a slightly more engaging way for LinkedIn, because I think there's a lot of very similar content out there, and it's how to make yourself stand out a little bit. But Instagram works really well because you get loads of really lovely people like yourself. Yeah,
I think Instagram... I use Facebook as well, not really though, but I think Instagram is good for engaging with other brands and other businesses, and like it's hard. I think you scroll past Facebook and I would never like message anybody. But on Instagram it's more kind of, I don't know why, it's friendlier, and
it is, because I found that like it's a much more of a community type, and people are really positive. Like if you say something on Instagram, everyone's like, oh, that's great, like, you know, like so encouraging, and if you say something on like LinkedIn, everyone's like, wow, why have you said that? And it's like it's a very different type of market, and that's what I like about Instagram, is it's really like friendly, and my brand is a little bit friendly, so that it works really well for me.
Yeah, LinkedIn does scare me with that. I find that, like, I'd be scared to say anything.
It's so intimidating
because it's like proper business people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god, I don't have a clue about it.
Yeah.
But I think you do maybe need to kind of utilise it.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe I'll be too scared to speak to anybody on there. You mentioned that giving tips on Instagram kind of works for you.
Yeah.
So do you have any kind of top tips for business owners? Kind of any?
So I think it depends what you're doing. Actually, that's how that whole thing started. I was going to say something totally different to what I ended up saying.
Oh, go for it.
Was when I first started my Instagram page, I just kind of like posted really like sporadically, like, you know, once every 3 months. And then February this year, I was like, okay, I need to sort this out. I've got 90 followers, and I'm meant to be telling people what to do. I need to actually focus on this a little bit.
Yeah.
So I did like so much research on like the ways to grow your Instagram and things, and I think it was 2 weeks I tripled it to 270, which still isn't like big numbers for a lot of other people, but for
in that space of time.
Yeah. So the biggest thing from that was commenting on other people's posts and like interacting with people. Because then people are like, oh, what does this person have to say now? So there was so many different techniques that I tried, and I think a combination of all of them works. So things like posting regularly, having good quality pictures, which are like not grainy and all that sort of stuff. Using hashtags, massive. And changing them quite often as well is quite good. Because I had one where I had something like 95% of the people that viewed that post were from hashtags alone.
Wow.
And I'd used those hashtags twice, and both times it was really high like that. And I was like, oh, interesting. And I started trying to use them again, and it didn't quite have the same effect. So I changed a few, and I'm like, okay, obviously it was the wrong one.
It's trying to kind of find the ones that actually are working. It's so hard.
I think it's just trial and error. Like, try a few things and see what works.
Yeah.
But then also just don't get too caught up in the numbers, because like once I kind of got to like the 270 mark, I was like, right, I'm not stopping, but I'm not obsessing over it, because actually numbers don't really mean everything. Like, I would rather have 10 followers who are actually going to become clients than have 3,000 who are just not interested. So like numbers don't really mean anything in that regard. But obviously it's nice to have slightly higher marks, especially when you're trying to advise people what to do and you don't have any followers.
Kind of gives you a bit of sort of
like authority.
Yeah. Like, oh, she's obviously people people like what she's doing. Exactly. No, I had to kind of stop obsessing about that as well, because it's it's horrible. It's
a horrible feeling, because I had this horrible thing where every night I would be like, right, okay, I'm at 272. Okay, oh, it's gone down to 771. Okay, now it's 773. Oh, it's gone up. Oh, no, wait, down again. And
it's when they go up and you're like, oh, and then you drop 10 overnight.
You're like, how? I didn't post anything today.
What have I done? Sometimes I do that if I've not posted for a while, and then I post, and then you see them drop, and you're like, oh my god.
You're like, what have I done?
People hate me. People are sick of me. it's totally, it's not really about that. It's about the engagement.
It's about the engagement. I think as long as you're there to engage with people, then you'll find everything's better. Your engagement gets better, your followers get better, and like direct messages will get higher as well because people will be more interested in what you're doing, and it's kind of more that to focus on rather than the numbers game. Because I think a lot of people can get too caught up in how many followers they've got or how many likes they get, but is that really that relevant?
No, and you even see some big people now, and they're not getting thousands of likes on each picture. It kind of makes you feel a bit better. It's everyone. It's no.
It's not just.
Because I used to get like so embarrassed, like, oh my god, only like 30 people have liked it. I'm like, like what a stupid thing to like actually bother about. But it is. It's hard not to get sucked into it, I think.
And it's like it's so easy to get obsessed by it. And it's not a good thing to be obsessed by.
No.
It's good to keep an eye on it and monitor it, but not get too caught up in it, because then you lose your way with it and you're like, okay, this is now not fun. It's now stressing me, and then I think that also starts to show because you're just like, content, and just like throwing it out, and you're not really doing anything by doing that. Yeah,
kind of desperately putting out the content that you think are going to get people in, but it's not authentic. And so do you think that that's quite important, kind of staying authentic, true to your brand? Do you think that's quite important?
Yeah, I think so, because again, this is something which I'd learned quite early on. I'd had someone who was asking me to manage social media, and their thing was, we just want as much content as physically possible, doesn't matter what it is, just get it out there. And I was like, no.
That's a questionable tactic.
So I was like, I'm not going to do that, but what I am going to do is this. And I kind of created a plan of, basically I thought, well, if I was a person who was following this company, what would I want to see? And that was kind of the route that I went down, and like engagement went up massively, and the followings went up like massively. I think I grew it like 200% over the course of like 3 months. Like it was just it's skyrocketed just by doing something very different. But it's more about thinking, I don't know, you don't want to think too much about like what does everyone want from me as well, because then it becomes like not very authentic either, because you're then just trying to be a people pleaser. So there's kind of a line between giving your customers what they want to read and being true to yourself. And then just not taking it too seriously, but serious enough.
It's such a hard balance.
There's so much to it.
It's such a hard balance, isn't it? Like, so many things you need to consider. So obviously, when you're on social media and kind of websites and stuff, your brand voice is quite an important thing. I imagine, do you kind of have a different voice for each client, sort of thing?
Yeah, sometimes. It depends a wee bit. Like, I try to keep it consistent, because that's kind of my branding is friendly copywriting. So I don't want to come across as like stuffy professional type if I'm trying to be friendly. Because like what I try to promote more is that I write conversational copy, so it's like just as if you're talking to a human being rather than some, I don't know, something which is like filled with jargon. It's really hard to understand. So when I'm talking to clients, I try and keep that same tone of voice as well. But again, it depends slightly on the client and slightly where I'm writing something. So if I'm writing like an invoice, then it's a slightly different tone of voice, because it's like, okay, you owe me money. And then like, you know, when you're following up with, this invoice is now late.
The stern email and kind of comes out.
Like, right, now nasty Jennifer comes out. Exactly.
Just regard.
Not kind.
No, not best. Not have a good day.
No, all that's gone.
Regards.
Just regards. You're sincerely if you're really bad.
That's like
you've really annoyed people if you're
if you get hit with that, it's like,
oh no,
what have I done?
Exactly. And then it depends a wee bit on the person itself. Like if it's someone that I know quite well, who's a client, then it's just like really chatty, and then it's like WhatsApp message. Whereas if it's someone who's like, I don't know, based in London and they're much like more business professional, then it tends to be email and a bit more professional. But again, I'm going to professional because I'm trying to be
friendly.
Yeah.
So when you're writing the stuff for them, do they kind of tell you what they're wanting to portray with their content, and you kind of tailor how you speak for them, sort of thing?
Yeah, kind of. So it's kind of, as a general rule, almost all the projects that I've had have been, okay, we want to become more friendly than what we are. Like, we want to be presented as more friendly. So can you kind of change your tone of voice a little bit? Or, like, can these blog articles be more friendly than the previous ones that you've read on our website? Type thing. So that's kind of like my speciality, is doing that side of things. But I have done a couple which have been still quite technical, and then trying to kind of get a balance between still sounding professional because of the type of client that it is, but making it a little bit more friendly
Yeah.
without being like, hey guys.
Yeah. So is that quite tough then, kind of differentiating between like and kind of remembering like what voice you're speaking and for each client?
Yeah, I don't know, like I can't, most of the time it's okay because I just kind of like, I'm quite good at putting myself like in the shoes of the client and like, right, okay, if I'm the client, like what do they want to know, or if I'm the client's customers, what do they want to know, and try and kind of, I always think in that way first. So I tend to find it's okay writing in another tone of voice as long as I've got some kind of guidelines. So there's one, for example, where it's American English instead of British English, and it's so hard. Because it's like, it's all these words that you don't realise are not British words that you're typing away, and then they're like, oh, you've used another British word, and I'm like, where? And you know, you go through it and you're like, oh no, just
the weird spellings and stuff that they have.
So I now have like a list of these words like on every document beside me.
Ready.
And I'm like, right, find these words at the end there, and then make sure I change them. Because even things just like the way you write the dates and stuff like that. If it's American, it's completely different. Exactly. So that's probably the hardest part of the writing thing. Rather than the tone of voice, it's those kind of things. And then things people don't even think about, like if you're writing a blog, do you write we, or do you write I, or do you write they, or do you write like the company? Like, you know, it's like, what kind of tone have you brought from that side of it? Like, which person do you write in? And it's things people don't really think about, because like they'll say, oh, can you just write a blog like in the same format as normal? And you're like, yeah, that's fine. Okay, here's a load of questions. It's like trying to make sure that it's consistent with their tone of voice, because even if they're trying to make it more friendly, it still needs to sound like it's them. So it's how you do that.
I always kind of struggle with that. Like when I started, I used to say we, and then I was like, why? Like it's just me. It's literally like, who am I kidding? It's literally just me. Do you think, is there like a best way to go if it's like a one man kind of business? Would you recommend?
I think it depends entirely on the business and how you want to portray yourself. So I also started with we because I wanted to be seen as a business. But I've kind of steered away from that now, and I've been like, well, I am a business, but I'm also me. So I'm actually changing my website at some point. It will be going live in the next like 6 years. I don't know. But it's becoming I rather than we. So I think for that, it depends entirely on you and how you want your business to be. So if you want to come across as not a single person business, then that's when you would use we and try and come across more businessy, because no one needs to know that you're on your own. But if it's actually something which works in your favour that you're on your own, then use I.
I think maybe in the more kind of creative sort of businesses, that's what people want. They want like to know the person, like they like people like that. But maybe if you're more a corporate and you're trying to like portray a professionalism, like it's not just you sitting in your house
in your jammies.
It's a tough one to get. There's so many things like you wouldn't even think about.
There's so many parts of it, and that's what I found as I've started doing this is, you know, if I was to look back at projects that I did like a year ago, a year and a half ago, whatever, I would say, alright, okay, I wouldn't necessarily do it that way now, or I'd have more questions to ask to make sure that I got like a more in-depth thing from the client of what it is they're actually looking for. Because most of the time when you ask a client what they're looking for, they're saying, oh, I don't really know, just, you know, something kind of friendly, kind of in the same tone of voice, full stop. And you're kind of like, okay. So, and then you have to dig a lot deeper than that to actually get something from them.
And then all the other stuff probably starts to come out.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got like a list of questions. Every time I'm going to chat to a new person, I have a list of questions, and I'm like, right. And I have like, you know, who is your target market? Like, what type of people are they? Where do they work? Where do they stay? Like, what tone of voice would they want to hear? Like, so if you're appealing to like mass market, you don't want to sound really like highfalutin, like a top end lawyer, for example, if you're talking to like someone down round the corner kind of thing. So it's like that's kind of part of it too. So you kind of have to weigh up your brand and your business against who it is you're talking to, and kind of marry them together and figure out the best tone from there.
So is that how you would kind of advise going about that? Think about who you're actually targeting. And then kind of go from there. Tailor it to them. It could be hard if you've got quite a broad like market, I suppose, trying to get like a voice that sort of speaks to the masses. So is there any kind of big no-nos when it comes to copywriting for your business? Like, is there anything you see people do that just cringes you out?
So many.
Let's see how many of them I do.
Oh, I don't want to insult anyone here. I'm like, well, don't do that. They're like, oh no, I do that.
Yeah, let's see how many of these I do.
Okay, there's the biggest one that winds me up is just inconsistencies. So like if you're, this is just like a really pedantic thing, but like, you know, things like if you have like paragraphs on your website, for example, and it's like bullet points and things, on some of them you have full stops and some of them you don't. That kind of thing just really annoys me. Such a small thing, but it's just inconsistent.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really small one, but you know, there's bigger examples of that than when like maybe you talk, maybe you've got a name for a product or a service that you do, and you know it should then technically be in capitals because it's like it's a noun now. Okay. It's a thing. And then sometimes you use capitals and sometimes you don't because it's a header, but then it's in your text. And then it's kind of at the start of a paragraph, and every time you do it, it's slightly different. So that's kind of consistency there as well, because it's effectively become a brand name, so it needs to be the same.
The same all the way.
Yeah, so that's, inconsistency is one. And then, on the spot, what am I thinking? I have a whole list of these. I started writing a blog article about, like, you know, the sort of pet peeves thing, like, things to avoid, and I now can't remember any of them.
Oh, don't worry about it. I think inconsistency, that's probably...
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Because if you sort that, then the rest of it makes a lot more sense. Because again, that's where your tone of voice would become inconsistent if you're like being really, really chatty and friendly on Instagram, and then as soon as you send an email, you're like, "Dear Mr. So-and-so," like, "Yours sincerely, kind regards," type thing. If you like, if someone gets that email, they'll be like, "Is this the same person I was talking to?" Who was like, "Hey guys," on Instagram. It's like you have to keep that consistent, or else there's like, it's your brand as well. It's like your wording is your brand. It's not just how it looks or your logo or the colours you use. Yeah. It's also the tone of voice and how you speak and what you write and how you write.
Oh my god, there's so
much.
Is there any of those that you think is kind of the main one that you have to get right, or is it a big...
In terms of like, out of all those...
Is there anything that's sort of the most important, or does it all just kind of work together?
I think it's all work together.
You can't do one and one well.
I think you need to define your brand, and then everything needs to be on your brand. So like, I always laugh about this because mine is obviously black and white with the penguin. So everything that I do is black and white and penguin. So like, I actually have like a list of all the things that I've got. Like, my car is a Mini and it's black with white seats.
Nice.
Like, I am wearing black today. Like, I always wear black and white to networking events because it's like a little subtle hint towards my branding. And then I've got things like, you know, I don't know, like my office decor I've just done at my office, and I've made it black and white. It's just like, I don't know, it's something quite simple but easy to do. So then every time I do something, it's that. And my notebook is branded. It's got my logo on the front with the penguin.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's white, and I've got black pens because black and white, you know, it's all that sort of stuff. So it's just...
I do that as well, actually. My office is pink. My nails are usually pink. I walk about... My notebooks are all the same shade of pink.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, people are going to think I'm
just
mental,
obsessive.
but yeah.
I noticed you're wearing black and white today too. I'm like, oh look.
Yeah, I'm actually so off my
so
own brand. It's so on your brand today. But yeah, I think it is so much that people don't think about. It's not just a logo.
Yeah.
It's like a whole kind of identity.
Yeah, because it's your visual identity. Part of that is the wording and how you present yourself. Yeah,
and even things like email signatures, like headings on like invoices, and I try and tell my clients like, you need everything, and they're like, really? No. I'm like, no, everything. Everything you ever touch has to be branded now.
But see, that's where as well, because I worked in a design agency which was all about branding, so that's again where it's kind of steered me into that as well, because everything had to be on brand, like right down to which font colour you use and all that sort of stuff, which is obviously what you do when you design things, so that's really shaped like how I see it all as well. Yeah. Because as well, like when you then saw something which someone had done which was off brand because it was the wrong font or the wrong sizing or the wrong colour, it just looked really bad because you're like, that's not their brand at all. Like, you don't know now that that's that person. Like, if they just change the colour slightly, you're like, oh. It
sticks out like a sore thumb, I think, sometimes. It could be just using a different font and you're like,
yeah, you're like, who is this?
Yeah, that's my big thing, fonts. I get so like crazy about them. I'm like such a geek when it comes to things. Like, I notice everything like that. But I think it is just like being around, like you might have seen it in the branding agency, like if you were so focused on everything, it's kind of, you get obsessive about it. Like, you have that with the inconsistencies in writing, and you'll notice everything probably.
Yeah, I do. Like, every time I'm reading a website, I'm like, oh, oh, I would change that word, or like I'm going along like, oh, that's a really good sentence. Oh, like, oh, that. I'm like, I wonder if a copywriter's written this person's website because it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Maybe it hasn't. Maybe they're just really good writers too. But it's that kind of thing of like, I don't know. You look for it, I think.
Yeah.
When you're like so involved in it.
Totally.
And also, it's kind of your job to like analyze things as well. So like, it's probably the same when you're looking at a logo. You're thinking, well, that's a good logo, or that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's that kind of.
Well, I would maybe change that sort of thing.
Maybe I'll contact them.
Yeah. So do you think it's quite obvious when it's like a copywriter has done something that's to when someone's done it themselves?
Yeah, I think so. But not always, not like in a like, wow, that was obviously a copywriter. Like, not that other people would notice. If that makes sense. So like, a normal person who's just like walking to the street wouldn't think, oh wow, a copywriter's written that person's website.
Yeah.
I think if you're a copywriter, you know that a copywriter's written that person's website. And then the person who just is the normal person who's seeing it would think, oh, that's good, right? Like that makes sense. Or actually, the key I think is for a normal person, not me, I'm not normal. For a normal person is to actually read it and not think about it. It just makes sense. Yeah. Like it's actually not so much. It's kind of like branding in design as well. Like you still say this, good design. Like you shouldn't notice it, if that makes sense. Like you shouldn't say, "Oh, that's really good spacing between the letters." It's something that if it's done right, you don't notice it, and if it's done wrong, you notice it. It's that kind of idea with copywriting as well. Like you think, you should just read it and be like, "Oh, that's so good."
Yeah, that was like a seamless thing to read.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than like that's good word structure.
Yeah,
I think that, but normal people don't.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever thought about word structure. I've probably got terrible word structure. So obviously you're working closely with a lot of businesses. Yeah. So is there ever any kind of common issues that you notice that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to like marketing themselves and putting themselves out there? Yeah,
I think there's a couple. So the biggest one I think would be people don't know what they're doing. Like, so they would like think, right, okay, so how to market myself, right? I need to write a blog, I need to have a social media presence, I need to have a website. And then that's kind of as far as they get with the thought process. So then they're like, right, so I need to post regularly. Okay, that's fine. But they don't know what they're posting or why. So I always say that whatever it is you do, there needs to be a purpose for it. So if you're writing a blog article, why? Like, what is the purpose of it? And that's where it's like, so you're a designer and you're writing something about how, oh, I went the other day and I saw a nice bird and it looked really pretty. And, it's really random and you're like, right, okay, what's the purpose of that? So instead, if you were to write something about, like, fonts, like, I really like fonts and I'm, like, total nerd for those things and I like looking at that and here's why, and then you give, like, a good list of reasons why, then someone who comes across that is more likely to say, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. Yeah. And that's the purpose. So there is a reason behind what you do. Yeah. So I think, again, coming back to the idea of like the numbers game on Instagram of like, oh, I need like 5,000 followers and things. It's kind of the same with like your blog, like, oh, I need a blog. But if you need a blog, you need to know why you need a blog. Yeah. So it's about people being able to find you through Google, or like they come across you because you're answering questions that they have, or you're showing that you're really knowledgeable in something. There has to be a purpose and a reason behind it. And I think that's where most businesses fall down on, is that they're just trying to put something out there, but they're not really clear on why or what their goal is with it. And then again, like call to actions and things like that. So like at the end of a blog, if you've had one like that, so someone's finished reading it about the fonts and they're like, okay, that's nice. Yeah. Okay. Bye. So then you need to have something which is like a bit of a call like to action from there of, like how do you then get that person into the next step, or like, do you want them to read another article? Do you want them to sign up to your newsletter? Do you want them to ultimately become a client? Like it's how. So it's that kind of like the business funnel type thing. Yeah, that kind of idea. That's a whole minefield. That's a whole minefield in itself. Exactly. Yeah, just kind of giving people somewhere to go next sort of thing, leading them through. Yeah, exactly. And then again, if you've shown that you know what you're talking about, they're much more likely then to go into the next part. And again, that's where conversational copy comes in rather than the technical stuff. Because if they don't understand it, or it comes across too boring, they're like, I don't want to work with that person. Yeah. Anyway, like I don't really get it. Yeah, people don't like things that make them feel stupid, I think. Yeah, they like to kind of feel like you're just chatting. And... Yeah, exactly. And they want to feel like they've understood it and they're like, oh yeah, I get what you're talking about there. And then, again, that's where like the art of copywriting comes in, is that you make it accessible to people. Yeah, totally. I think that must be a hard thing to kind of to get right every single time. Yeah, it is. But there's kind of like a sort of structure that you follow when you're doing different things. So the first thing that they always say is like, what is the person's problem? and how do you solve it? That's kind of the structure that you always want to go. Or how do you capture their attention right at the start? Because you have to make it about them, not about you.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I've heard that kind of people want to hear about themselves. They want to talk about themselves. They don't want to hear what you are doing. They want to hear how that helps them.
Exactly.
How that can benefit them, kind of thing.
So if you can get that across.
Yes. So do you kind of try to get that across? Even in like social media, even on your own stuff, is that kind of always the basis?
Yeah, but it's not like over the top as well. Because again, I've read a lot of ones where it's like, you obviously have this problem, I can do this, and it's just like, it's such a sales pitch then, because it becomes really like false sounding, because you're clearly writing to like a formula. Because like if you follow, so like if there's like different templates or something, like you download a template of like, you know, plug in your information here, this is who's you're doing, blah blah blah, and then you just kind of copy and paste that as a pitch kind of thing. It doesn't really work because it's not natural. It comes across as you've followed the structure. So actually, although you've got these tips, although I'm saying these tips, like, that is all the things you have to have at the back of your head as you're writing these things, and that's kind of like the structure you use to write it. But you also don't want to go over the top and be like, I must follow this structure and not wane from it. Because then it's really like quite not natural. Exactly.
I see a lot of those posts on Facebook, quite a lot of big sort of life coaches and people like that, and you get the big long posts like, you're doing this and I can save you so much money and I'll change your life, and it's like it's so kind of like a formula. They all look the same.
Because again, they're all teaching the same type of formula. And obviously they work to a certain degree as well, because they wouldn't do them if they didn't work. But
you see huge engagement on most of them, and I'm like, wow, I wish I could do that.
Exactly. Yes, I think it's about I think the biggest thing is just capturing people's interest. So if you write something like that and they go, oh, that is me, then you've captured their interest, and then you will read on, and then you've outlined all the problems they're having. And if at that moment in time they really are struggling with that, they'll be like, I need this, because like they're definitely going to help my problem, kind of thing. And then that's how you make a sale. But at the same time, it can come across too salesy. It can come across like quite false. So it's about how you kind of balance that off with actually sounding like a human being too, that is just talking to someone. And that's kind of, again, where the art of copywriting is like how to strike that balance.
Kind of do the selling, but also keep it
natural.
I'm selling to you, but subtly.
But I'm not. Wink, wink. I think probably my biggest piece of advice for people to do with copywriting, or actually just anything to do with marketing themselves, is to know their target market. So like I'd said, you know, if you know who it is you're writing to, then it's easier to write to them. And quite often if you picture a person, so you were like, okay, my ideal client is so and so that I got last week. Okay, if I was writing to him, what would I say? And that's quite a good way of writing, like, around that way. And it makes it kind of easier to actually write to a person as well. Because then it doesn't come across as salesy or as false, because you're not writing to. Because if you write, hey everyone, that appeals to no one, because everyone's like, well, I'm not everyone, I'm me, kind of thing. So
they kind of want to feel like you're just speaking to them.
Exactly,
like a one-on-one.
Exactly.
So do you get quite specific on kind of target markets? I know people say you have to like literally visualise like who they are and what they do, sort of thing.
I do, and I normally always ask my clients in quite a bit of detail as well about them. And again, most of the time actually they haven't thought in that much detail about the person. So you ask them a question and they go, oh, I don't really know actually. Let me get back to you. And you're like, okay. And then you ask them another question and you're like, oh, I don't really know. Let me get back to you. And it's kind of like, oh, interesting. Which actually I really like that as an exercise, because then they know more about their business too. So even if, like, I don't know, like, so that would obviously affect what I write, but then it might make them think, well, actually, maybe we should do such and such, and it's something completely unrelated to me, but it's helped their business regardless, and I quite like that.
They're kind of learning more about their business as they go, sort of thing.
Which I think is always important. The more you know about your own business and your own customers, like, just the better.
Totally. It's such a good thing to kind of get nailed down quite early, know exactly what you're standing for and who you're targeting, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because I actually did a customer persona the other day, because, you know, they always talk about it in marketing, like, do a customer persona, it's really useful and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to do a customer persona. So I spent ages doing it, and I write down to, like, he would drink Starbucks coffee. I was like, no, he wouldn't. He would go to an independent store at Starbucks. Like, you know, that was
so specific.
So specific. And it was, like, right down to, like, what type of bank he would use and everything. You know, it was really, like, well over the top, but it was fun. And then by the time I'd finished that, I was like, I feel like I really know this person. So now when I'm going through, like, potential clients or things that I think, oh, you know, that could be quite an interesting one, I'm like looking at that and I'm like, would that be the right person?
Yeah.
Yes, it would. Or like, no, not quite so much, or whatever. It kind of it fades.
Yeah, I find a lot when I speak to clients and I'll ask them kind of who you targeting, and you get like, oh, women, or oh, women over 40 or something. I'm like, no, that's not. You need to narrow it down.
Yeah, you get more and more niched.
But it's kind of that fear of cutting out a whole group of people. Like at the start, it's a scary thing to kind of.
Yeah, because like, I don't want to have a small market.
Because I done that. I was like, oh, but I can do anyone who's got a business. Yeah. But you can't really.
No.
You need to kind of. Now I more deal with the creative, independent businesses.
Yeah.
I've had to kind of niche down.
Yeah.
Because that's just what I enjoy doing.
Yeah, I think that's a learning progress as well. Like, because you've started it off and like, no, I want to like target so many people, and you're like, no, actually, wait, I really enjoy this side of work, or these are who most of my clients are, and then it kind of like it. Sometimes actually your business kind of niches itself. Yeah. And you realise what you like doing, and it kind of it brings you
quite natural.
Yeah.
So is there any kind of industries you kind of veer towards, or?
So again, that's how it's happened with me. Was I started off very just like, anyone at all, and as a marketer, that's very bad advice. Don't follow that. So I was like, I need to narrow it down, but actually it was more again who I was already getting as clients and the people that I enjoyed working with, and kind of how that went down there. So different. I kind of work with like different types of industries. So like one that I really enjoy working with is the travel industry. Yeah. I've done quite a bit of work when I worked at agencies as well, like to do with travel. And I've worked in like tour operating companies where they do like tours for normal people, and as well like business travel and things like that. So it's like everything to do with like sort of destinations and how you would encourage people to do that. So that's a really fun side. Yeah. Because it's quite creative as well. But it's also quite a lot of like logistics and like the planning and things, and I like researching things. Yeah. But then I've also worked with like really creative companies like branding and things like that, and like how to get the visual and like your wording kind of like married up. And then I've worked with like more technical businesses. I've done quite a few quite technical ones who are very aware that they're very technical and want to make it very conversational. So that's why they came to me, because they're like, Greg, you specialise in conversational copy. Like, how do we simplify this so that people understand what we do? Yeah. So I had a client quite recently who was one of them, and he basically said, he was on the phone to me and he explained for quite a while like what his business was all about, and there was so many different aspects of it, and there was a lot of information, and I managed to like, kind of summarise it into like a couple of words. Yeah. It's like, that's it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I get what it is you're trying to say, but now that I know that in like 3 words, I can use that for your customers, and then they'll know it in 3 words what it is straight away, what you do, because no one's going to read a 5-page document about what you do. Yeah, just to explain what you actually do. Exactly. It's that kind of elevator pitch idea of like, make it as succinct as possible, and then it kind of comes from there. Yeah, people have short attention spans. They want it easy, accessible. No, that's great. So this section is called Check Them Out. Yeah. So if you have any businesses that you think need to be heard about, go for it. Shout them out. As many as you want. Okay, well, one which I'll mention is 1500 Photography. So this is my friend Stuart. He was my first ever client. And he's just great. So like he has given me quite a bit of like work to do from like blog articles on his website and things. And we've just stayed really good friends from there as well. Yeah. So we actually are now doing like a little joint project together as well. So it's sort of like your visual like photographs and things with some copywriting. So that's a great package. He takes amazing pictures. Go check him out. And trying to think who else. There's a company that actually I came across the other day, which they don't know me, but I follow them. I stalk them on Instagram. And it's called Growers Garden. They are a farming. So they do sort of like sustainable farming. So they've made crisps which are broccoli. Made from broccoli. So I was like, this is really interesting. So I was quite interested, and I was like, how does that work? Yeah. So he basically said like, they take the broccoli and they cook it, and then they put it through with different things, and then they make it into crisps. And the idea was that the vegetables in it didn't get to market because they were like wonky. Yeah. Got turned into something. And I was like, that's really cool. Like, I really like the concept of that. But then I had to buy a few packets, obviously. Yeah. but I love their copywriting.
Oh,
they've got really good copywriting going on. Really good copywriting. So I was reading the back of the crisp packet, and it made me laugh, and I was like, oh, that's so nice, I like that. And then it just like made me so like, I love this brand. This is lovely.
I love when you get packaging that's like funny on the back. I actually love that.
It's like Aussie shampoo as well. I love it.
I was trying to think of the one that used to get me when I was younger. I thought that was amazing.
Honestly, like, I'm so bad for that kind of thing. Like whenever I see someone who's written something really funny or really quirky, I'm like, I love this person, and then I'm like all about the brand, because it's like, you're great, because obviously as a copywriter, it's like, you're good, I like you.
I think the innocent smoothies used to be quite funny for that as well, weren't they?
They're really good. Yeah, there's so many like that, but those are my favourite ones. And actually I think that's also shaped slightly why I've gone down the friendly copywriting, because they really make an impact, because you read it and you laugh. Yeah. Or you read it and you think, oh, those are like nice people, like I kind of want to be involved with that. Yeah. And it's different to just like, we make shampoo. It's like, it's something funny.
Because like 99% of the other bottles are just boring and the same stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We make your hair shiny, we make it not pretty, we make it
a bit of personality. I think that's what it's about.
It's the personality.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's...
So what were they called again, sorry?
So 1500 Photography, Stuart Wood, and the other one was Growers Garden, which...
Growers Garden, I'm going to check that out. Yeah. I've got so many people that I stalk on Instagram. Probably don't even know it exists. But
I know. Well, that's the thing, because we hadn't actually met until today. So
I know. It's so nice though. It's the same with the two that I've had already, the two interviews today. I've spoke to them for ages online. Yeah. Never actually met them, and it's so nice when you actually meet people and they're like as nice as they seem online. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it's like, your branding matches with your actual personality.
I'm not a big faker.
Exactly.
Is there anybody else you want to shout out, or was that the main two?
Those were the main two. The other one was Branding by Jules, which I think you
know.
Yeah, she's just lovely.
She's so nice.
Yeah,
is it Julie her name?
Yeah,
I love Julie.
So we're meeting, I think, next week for a wee coffee, because again we chat a fair time about on Instagram and haven't actually met, so we're like, let's have a coffee together, because that'll be lovely. Yeah. Her branding's just lovely. It's just so like kind of fresh and pretty. Yeah, she's just really friendly and lovely.
She seems so nice. Yeah, I'll need to actually grab a coffee with her. Yeah, she would be the next guest as well. Exactly.
But yeah, check her out because she's lovely.
Yeah. We need more nice people like that on Instagram. I think. So the last thing is to plug yourself. So if you've got anything going on, any offers, where can we find you?
Yep. So I'm doing a thing where you can have like a 2-hour coffee chat with me, kind of idea. So I think the idea is quite often people will like, oh, I don't want to pay like, £700 just like to make a marketing plan or something, but actually you just need to be a bit of direction. Yeah. So the idea is like the 2-hour coffee chat, we'll have a sit down, we'll go through your social media, your blog, your website, and say, okay, well, here's some things you could do better, here's some ideas, here's some new ideas for content which you maybe hadn't thought of before, or different ways of doing it, and basically just kind of go through it just right there and then, and like have like a little notebook or a workbook where you can go through and like make some notes and things.
That's a good idea.
The idea is just that in that 2 hours you've then got like a little plan to go away with, and you're like, alright, okay, I know what I'm doing now. Bit of like, expert advice.
Yes,
I'm an expert. Yeah, expert advice.
Expert advice. That is expert.
Over like a little 2-hour coffee, and coffee is always a good shout. Or tea if you don't like. Or juice if you don't like hot drinks. Whatever you feel like, it's any kind of drink, but I'll say coffee just because it sounds nice.
So, sounds better.
Something like that. So that's something that I'm kind of pushing just now, is like a little 2-hour coffee consultation chat type of a thing.
So how do people kind of book in for that? Just
so the easiest way to find me on social media, on Instagram, blackandwhite.marketing. Follow the penguin. You'll see a little penguin logo and you'll know it's me.
You'll see the penguin.
Just drop me a little message, direct message or whatever, and we can get something booked in.
So exciting. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So great to finally meet you and to chat with you. So definitely go and follow Black and White Marketing Instagram. Check them out.
100%.
Yes, and follow Mind Your Business as well, and I'll pop a little picture up with a penguin. You can see the penguin.
The notorious penguin.
Because we've been talking about it so much.
You'll be like, what is this penguin?
Yeah, so that'll be on there. So thank you for listening to this episode of Mind Your Business, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye.
Bye.